Well, we have a verdict in Kelsey's case. My stomach is in knots. I can't imagine how she's feeling. Will be announced at 2.
Justice, where are you? Michael and Linda are here.
Love you, Linda.
The world is justice. Will we ever find justice?
The courthouse the other day in the hallway, you're singing
Will
"Oh
we
Happy
know
Day."
justice when we see it? To be and Damil, I lead the way, hoping justice will win the day. Listener clues, finding justice where we can. Join us now, we're on the run. Justice is waiting, we'll see it done.
Well, as we were streaming, as you know, and answering your questions, and then taking a little break because the court had announced a 1:30 verdict, in the process of getting up this live stream, because we had to change channel, change streams, and we want to thank you all for coming with us. I know other people are still coming. The judge announced that it's now changed to 2 o'clock when the verdict will be announced. But I don't know about you, but I have a knot in my stomach. So I thought, while Michael Bryant is still nosing around, poor guy, we didn't even get him a chance to get lunch, use the facilities and all, when the verdict time was announced. And we thought that would happen, right? We said this morning there was a clue. The judge said this morning, and it was a clue, C-L-U-E, like the game, that if he had a verdict during the ordinary lunchtime hours, he would announce it, or traditional lunchtime hours, he would announce it. So I guess when he came out and said he had a verdict, he's going to announce it at 1:30, people probably already were planning to be at lunch and all. Now, my phone is going crazy here, so let me just see. Yes, okay. We have that, okay. And so I'll have to go on X and repost it. But when this stream is going to be, as you know, adless, because we want to see the verdict. When we replay, it probably will not be. But Michael will let us know what the story is, because I'm sure there's going to be a line to get into that courtroom. And we want to make sure, after we have followed this case from its first days, and we've been there all week, that Michael Bryant gets a seat in the courtroom, and he should, because he's one that has one of these special media passes authorized to actually stream. Now, that you hear is not Dedham, it's not Lawrence, that's New York City and the fire engines going on. I don't know if they're happy that there's a verdict, or not happy that there's a verdict, or even know that there's a verdict. Okay, all right. So let me answer a couple questions, and then I'm going to play the closings again, okay, that we were doing on the previous stream, all right, so that we can see what the closings are, to see when the judge gives his verdict, whether he used any lines within the closing. So I see a lot of questions here. Thank you for all coming. Okay, you made the switch over. I know. Poor Missy and poor Joy with the switch over. We wanted to have the verdict on an ad-free, and that's why we made the switch over, so it was separate. So I hope you all don't mind, and tell everybody else that was in the previous stream from this morning that we are here. We are here, okay? So trust is love always. I'm just going to put this up if you don't mind. It's not pretty. However, some judges don't play when it comes to false allegations. When I got custody of a child through DCF, it went through 5 court dates, and the judge said no more chances. Wow, it just goes to show you how complicated these cases are. So in England, we are on daylight saving time. So I think you may be 6 hours ahead of us now. Usually you're 5 in regular time, but I think you're now 6 hours ahead of us in England time. Someone can check me on that. All right. And of course, if the judge says 2 o'clock, well, he's been pretty punctual. The first day, not. The first day getting things cleared, not. But he's been pretty punctual, and we don't want to miss anything in case he's not. It's 4 hours. Oh, it's 4 hours. It goes backwards instead of 5. Sorry, I was putting it 1. So in England, you're 4 hours ahead of us. I had a case the past couple of years that ended up settling last year. And we had the clients were both in California and England. And of course, I'm here. And you can imagine what setting Zoom calls was like, because we had to make sure it was late enough in California that that people weren't waking up in their pajamas to do the call. I was okay. I was always okay in the East Coast. And of course, in England, being ahead when it was 5 hours ahead. So that was, was always an 8-hour jump that we had to sub Zoom calls. That was very difficult. So that's what Lisa Van Cycle, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Well, I know, but our heart, my stomach is in knots, and it's not even my case. I know your stomachs are all knots and our hearts are knots. But why don't I'll go in the background. Let's listen. Missy has it ready to go to some of the closings this morning so we can see which closing was more effectual when Judge Karp gives his ruling, I guess.
Simmons, 2025, 77 CR 311. Scheduled today for continued jury waive trial. Could counsel will please identify themselves?
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Martha Cooley for the defendant, Kelsey Fitzsimmons.
Good morning. Good morning, Ms. Fitzsimmons.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Your Honor. Timothy Braille. With me is Ms. Healy. Ms. Hassan, Mr. Leonard.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks. You can have a seat. All right. So you folks ready to proceed?
Yes.
All right. I don't say this for the attorneys who know this, but because the government, the prosecution has the burden, they go last. The defense goes first in their closing. And Mr. Bradle, you may proceed.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. May it please the court.
Yeah.
Counsel, ladies and gentlemen. Your Honor, June 30th, 2025 was the worst day in Kelsey Fitzsimmons' life. Her whole world imploded. Her fiance betrayed her. Her baby was being taken away. She was going to lose her house, her job. It was an incredible confluence of tragedy that was visited upon her that day. That day was about her, and she decided in the midst of what you saw testified to here, she decided to end her life. Patrick Noonan, when he came back up those stairs, Your Honor, walked into a suicide in progress. That gun was nowhere near him. That gun was already pointed at Miss Fitzsimmons' temple by Miss Fitzsimmons. She was a couple steps into the room. Officer Noonan, a gung-ho cop, highly trained, a SWAT guy. He'd already been ginned up all afternoon by the insane, ludicrous statements of Justin Elaine. He had that in his head. He walked in, and like all of us are susceptible to, he made a mistake. He shot too quick. He reacted too quickly. And instantly, he realized that he had to adjust the narrative. And that was easy, to just add 6 words to the equation, Your Honor. He said, words to the effect, she pointed the gun at me. 6 words. What did those words do at that time period? Those words made him the victim. Those words made him the hero. And those words, most important, made him untouchable. Those words were a defense for his future, his life, his reputation, and they were conveyed to a very willing audience. His colleagues, his brothers, his family, the investigators on the case. So that's really what happened here, Your Honor, and it is a tragedy, and it is something that should not result in any further harm to Ms. Fitzsimmons. This should be over. This should be an acquittal, Your Honor. I want to talk to you about a few of the elements that I know you're going to be concerned about. So first thing I want to talk about, Judge, is the lack of motive and the lack of intent. Because when it gets down to brass tacks, I know that you're going to look at the law, you're going to look at the credibility determinations, and you're going to make your judgment. And here, this case fails the Commonwealth Ship founders on the rocks of lack of motive and lack of intent. Let's talk about motive. Everything in life is motive. And it's ironic that, us lawyers always say, oh, you don't need to prove motive. But you really kind of do. It's meant not be an element of the crime, but motive is everything in this business, Your Honor. Let's look at the motive or lack of motive. Fitzsimmons and Noonan are colleagues. They have already bonded over shared tragedies, shared experiences. They were okay with each other. They were friends. Kelsey thought well of him, and she thought he thought well of her. She knows he has a family. She knows who his family is. She's not going to harm this guy. She knows, Your Honor, that he didn't do this to her. She knows that Justin Elaine did this to her. And she's probably most important, she's been in those shoes before, serving restraining orders. She knows she's just a messenger. She knows he's just a messenger. This was the worst moment of her life, and she wanted to end her life. And how did she want to do it? She wanted to do it alone. She didn't want to involve these officers because she knew this was a selfish act. She came in here, and ironically, the most credible evidence that came into this case, Your Honor, was from the one person that didn't have to testify. And she came in here and she chose to testify. And she waived her rights and she testified. And she showed, Your Honor, that she's a moral person. She's a caring person. You will sit down and you'll deliberate, and you'll be drawing the inevitable conclusion that Kelsey Fitzsimmons is a moral person. You have to contrast that with the callous treatment of this case from the other side. Hey, we're going to go serve an order on Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Her ex-fiance got an order on her, on Kelsey. Let's go serve an order. The answer, sounds good. Let's go. Talks to his neighbor. Oh yeah, I'm the shooter. I'm the shooter. She's a whack job. So you have to take these credibility determinations into account. And I know you're a gentleman, but you have to get down to brass tacks on who's who here, Your Honor. What else shows you that she's a moral person? She doesn't want to involve these guys. She's trying to get rid of them. She says, oh, the guns are over here, so she can go where they really are. She keeps trying to give Houston and Noonan baby things to bring downstairs. She's trying to get rid of them. She's trying to get them away from her. She wants to do this on her own. She doesn't want to have some sort of a situation where she gets shot by one of her colleagues and friends. It's understandable because she's a moral person. She waits for her chance. She gets to her room. There's a distraction downstairs. She doesn't know what's going on because she's focused on the job she's trying to do here, the tragic, awful thing that she's trying to do to herself. That's how you know she's telling the truth, Your Honor. You saw in the room, and I'll show it to you in a minute, the chest that she got the gun from. It's a chest on the floor. It has one of those pretty substantial lids that you would have to flip up to get the gun, locate the gun, pick the gun out of the 4 guns, and stand up. If Noonan was standing right there in the door frame, that would have never happened. All those events, that little series of events, he would have been able to stop it. He would have stopped it. It tells you that he's down the steps. He was interested in the distraction downstairs. He saw Kelsey folding some baby clothes, getting baby things ready. His attention, it's human nature. His attention was drawn to go back down the stairs. He walked down the stairs two or three steps, 4 steps, whatever. And Kelsey told you straight up, that was my chance. And she took it. And she went in the chest. Exhibit 51, Your Honor, I'll show you right now. She went in that chest, flipped up that lid, got the gun, stood up. She told you, again, she's a moral person. She tried to keep the gun concealed. She made the motion like this, Your Honor, where she put the gun like this, and she kind of walked over here because she didn't want the police to see her with a gun. She held the gun to her stomach area. She walked to a clear area, and she put the gun to her head. And that's what I mean when I say Officer Noonan came back up the stairs, and what did he walk into? He didn't walk into some Rambo woman trying to shoot him in the face. He walked into Kelsey, who you now know a little bit from her testimony. He walked into Kelsey's room, and Kelsey had a gun to her head, and he walked into a suicide in progress, Your Honor. And the man that had just been holding her baby, that she chose to hold her baby, that she chose to feed her baby, walked into her suicide in progress. The gun was nowhere near Noonan. There was no threat to Noonan. And the law says that an officer may not use deadly force on someone who is exhibiting a danger only to themselves. And that's offered to Your Honor twofold, in the sense that it shows that this was not a reasonable use of force, and it shows you that his knowledge of that statute, as he said on the stand, gives him a motive to lie. He knows that this is not a good shooting. He knows this is not a clean shooting. And that gives him a motive here, Your Honor. And like all of us, we all make mistakes. He overreacted and he shot. He had the look on his face, panic, flustered, he shot. He had made a mistake by leaving her there, walked down the steps, a few steps, and that gave her the chance. And when he did this, he knew immediately, Your Honor, that he had to adjust the narrative. Filtered through the legal lens, Your Honor, that tells us that Kelsey had no intent. She had no intent to harm Noonan. There's no assault here because she didn't have the intent to do so. As the fact finder, you can consider everything I said about motive, that she lacked any motive to harm this gentleman. In fact, it was the opposite. She thought well of him. She knew Justin did this to her. She had just trusted him with her baby, and she had tried several times to get these officers away from the situation. No intent to harm him, no motive driving her mindset to do so. Reasonable doubt, burden of proof, Your Honor. Where the evidence supports a reasonable and more plausible alternative, and that's shown here by Kelsey's testimony, it cannot be said that the Commonwealth has proven their case beyond a reasonable doubt. There is reasonable doubt. When there are two plausible versions of what happened, that itself is reasonable doubt. The versions themselves, Your Honor, show reasonable doubt. Kelsey's version rings true. Noonan's version is all over the place. Noonan's version is contradicted by the strong consensus of everybody else in the house. Noonan portrays a couple different stories, but if you want to pick one where it's this drawn out potential gun battle, where she's backpedaling, sidestepping, tapping, racking, there's commands going on, that takes time. It takes time for me even to say it. Never mind do it. And that's belied by everything everybody else in the House says. Everyone else says, Kelsey, no, 2 shots in quick succession, bam, bam. That does not fit with what Noonan said happened. So on that alone, Your Honor, as a fact finder, I suggest that your duty is accomplished quickly, because there are 2 extremely divergent versions of this event. And Noonan's version has changed itself. Noonan's version is inconsistent with who you now know Kelsey is as a person. It's self-serving. And like I said, it makes him untouchable. And when you judge it against everyone in the House, he's the only one with the Rambo story. Everyone else has what Kelsey says. He walks into a suicide in progress. He sees it. He reacts. Kelsey, no. Kelsey, no. Bam, bam. Brain freeze. Mistake. Has to cover it up immediately. What else do we have? When you're a fact finder, Your Honor, you want to look for corroboration. What's the corroboration on either side of this thing? Or lack of corroboration, which is what really it is here. The big one, the big elephant in the room, is that this department has no body cameras. We wouldn't even be here if they had body cameras. There's no evidence other than people's words. He said versus she said. That's oftentimes, almost all the time, not a good place to start for the Commonwealth. How many of these guys didn't do reports? What's up with that? Why didn't Trooper Strong put the body camera video on the witness he's interviewing? There's no science. The testimony of everyone else in the House shatters his narrative. Kelsey Fitzsimmons has been blessed. She should be dead 2 times over, by her own hand and by the hand of Officer Noonan, who shot too quick. She's blessed. She's here today, and she has a new lease on life. And maybe that's why the investigation is what it is. And maybe that's why Noonan's story is so sloppy, because nobody expected her to be here today to tell her truth. But she is, Your Honor. And as the fact finder, I want to respectfully ask you to consider the evidence, consider the lack of motive, the lack of intent, the inconsistencies. The credibility contest is firmly in her camp. She came in here and she told you what happened. Unvarnished truth. And I ask you to find her not guilty. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Yes.
if I may.
Yes.
Every piece of credible evidence in this case proves one thing, that she's guilty. All the testimony, the scientific evidence, the physical evidence, the demonstrative evidence, everything points to one conclusion: she is guilty. Even her own testimony proves she's guilty, because it's impossible to have happened the way she said it. It is scientifically, mechanically impossible for it to happen the way she said it. Her story is that she grabbed a gun, put it to her head, pulled the trigger, and it clicked. The chamber was empty. That's what her story is. And that's what Officer Noonan's story is, too. She pulled the trigger, click, nothing came out. There wasn't a round in the chamber. She even said, she told everybody how stupid I am. I tried to kill myself with an empty gun. But what do we know about the gun? What do we know about her gun? Because after she went to the floor, Lieutenant David picked it up, put it on the bed. Officer Noonan picked it up and put it on the table. And then Officer Kaur came in the room. And what happened then? Officer Noonan said, secure that gun, make it safe. And so what did he do? He took the gun, he found that black box, the safe. He made sure that was empty, he turned it over. He pulled out the magazine that you can see right here. He opened the chamber, and there was a round in the chamber. He dumped it out into this safe and put the firearm in there. And then they stood watch on that until State Trooper Bonasara took it back in the lab. That magazine that you have in evidence contains 16 rounds. It was a 17-round capacity gun. It contained 16 rounds, plus the one that was in the chamber. 17 rounds. As we know, there are only two ways to get a bullet into the chamber. One is if there's already a bullet in the chamber, someone pulls the trigger, a bullet comes out, the casing comes out, the chamber's open, the spring allows another bullet to come up. That's one way, and we know that didn't happen here. The gun didn't fire because the chamber was empty. The only way a bullet gets in this chamber, other than that way, is if someone racks the gun. She said she didn't rack the gun, but there was a bullet in the chamber. She did rack the gun. What did Officer Noonan say? She pulled the trigger. Nothing happened. She stepped back, tap racked, tried again, didn't do it. Tap racked again, pulled it, and that's when he fired. She put a round in that chamber. That's the only way it got there. Her story can't be true. She got up on that stand and she lied to you. It's scientifically and physically impossible for her story to have happened the way she said. That's what the evidence shows. But she didn't just lie to you then. She lied again. She lied at the scene about where the guns were. And she admitted that, and I understand that, right? And she said she lied to the police because she decided to kill herself. But when did she say she said that? They had been to the house. They had talked to her, according to her. She now started contemplating all of the ramifications of what's going to happen to her. Because she's losing her life, her job, her son is being taken away, all of these things. And so she's going that over her head. And then minutes later, as she's walking through the house, she says, my gun's in the basement, because that's the time she made the decision to kill herself. Later on. And we know that's a lie. We know that's a lie because what was one of the first things they asked her when they went to that house? They asked her to put the baby down because they were concerned for the baby, told her the restraining order, what the parameters were, and asked her where your guns are. When she was still sitting on the sofa. They weren't waiting to ask that question so she was already walking around the house. No way. And what did she say there? They're in the basement. And we know she said it there before she moved around the house, which is untrue, because her friend, Officer Houston, who was invited to her wedding, says it also. He says, Sergeant Daly asked. And then remember what he said? He said, I was in the living room, she was sitting down, and then I saw a gun case on the other sofa. And so I opened it up to see. And she said again, I already told you the guns are in the basement. Now, why at that point did she say that? We don't know. She didn't tell us because she lied to us about why she said it later, because we know she didn't say it later. So she lied again. You can't trust her. She also lied about knowing that her mom was in the house. She was upstairs. The officer, Noonan, I think it was, Noonan heard an older woman's voice down there and said, who is that? She says, I have no idea. She doesn't know her own mother's voice, her best friend that she just talked to come to the house. And she said she didn't know whose voice it was. Another lie. She said on the stand yesterday that she didn't know Justin was in the house. And we know that's a lie too, because what happened when the three of them were upstairs? It's Noonan, it's Houston, and it's the defendant. She hears him downstairs. Houston hears him downstairs, and she says, keep him away from me. I don't want him in my house, or something to that effect. And that's when Houston went down to make sure he wasn't coming up and went to the basement. She knew he was in the house. She absolutely did, and she lied to you when she said she didn't yesterday. And you know what else she lied about? Something so simple, but it shows who she is. The restraining order. She said, the restraining order was taking my dog away. It says it. It doesn't say that. Nothing about the dog in there. I could go on about the lies, but I want to talk about the credible evidence. The credible evidence in this case. When Lieutenant Daly got a call, I actually got a visit from Justin Elaine when he was in the lobby of the PD. And Justin told him he got a 209A against Kelsey. And Detective Daly knew that she had been sectioned before, that she had guns, that they were taking the child away from her for a period of time. And so what did he do? He called Officer Houston. He asked Houston to call Daly to meet up. And why did he say he did that? He said because those two are cool, calm, and collected. They don't panic. They keep things calm. That's what he said. And that's why when he called Houston, he said, can you call Daly? We got to do this. And so he wants you to believe, defense counsel, that Pat Noonan was cavalier about, oh, okay, sounds good, we have to serve a restraining order. But that's not what happened. He was mischaracterizing it, I hope you remember, in the grand jury minutes, because Houston had called Pat and said, hey, we got to serve an order, can you meet me by the school? Pat said, sounds good. It wasn't until he got over there, it wasn't until Lieutenant Daly was there that they learned really what they were going to do. And they went over there. And defense counsel asked Daly, you guys were cavalier about it, you knew her, weren't worried about the guns, all this stuff. And Lieutenant Daly said no. No. His quote was, We had an increased level of villages. Everyone was more on point because they did know what they were walking into. They did know. They did know that she had been sectioned before. They did know there was going to be a baby in the house. They did know that she had guns. They did know at that point that she had parked her car far away. This is all going to what they were thinking at that point. They did know all those things. And they did know Justin's concerns. He said, according to Lieutenant Daly, I'm worried she's going to kill the baby, kill herself, and kill someone else. So that's what they were thinking when they went into this house. That's the credible evidence when they went in there. And what did they do when they went in there? They sat her down, and they allowed her, or maybe they asked her, I can't remember, to go around and get some stuff for the baby because she knew Justin was coming to get the baby. And they were in her pocket the whole time. They followed her around the house, at least two of them, while she did that. And you know that because even Officer Houston said, I was in her pocket. We went into the kitchen, and I noticed there were butcher blocks with knives on it, with knives in it. And they were concerned. There was no chance they were leaving her alone. No chance they were leaving her alone. Officer Newman. Officer Newman. All of the testimony that you've heard about Officer Newman, even from the defendant, he's a gentleman, he's experienced, he is by the book, and his training and experience starting in the military, through boot camp, through security forces school, security forces squadron, with all the training he had, and Humvees and helicopters, and the SWAT team, 2 times a month training, clearing rooms, clearing buildings, hostage situations, missing persons, shoot, no shoot scenarios, twice a month, and a 40-hour block every year. For over a decade, he did that. And he moved to Lawrence, as far as the department goes, because it was busier, and he had more experience. He was cool, calm, and collected. There's no doubt about that. And to say when they're upstairs and he walks away and leaves her alone because he heard a commotion that Officer Houston was going to attend to is a joke. It really is. Now, how do you know they were going by the book at that point? And how do you know they were vigilant? Because they followed around everywhere. Because both Houston and Officer Noonan said she kept handing us things, and we kept putting them down. We wanted our hands free. Because they were ready for whatever happened. Hoping nothing did, but ready for whatever happened. So at some point, Houston and Noonan are upstairs, and the defendant goes into her room. And she hears Justin. And Houston goes down to keep the peace to make sure he's there. And Officer Noonan is watching her. He's watching her. And she's on one knee. And she lunges, and she disappears. And she emerges with this, pointing at him like she is trained to do. Click at his face. The whole thing took maybe 4 seconds, maybe even 3.5 seconds. His training has kicked in. His experience has kicked in. It was a surprise to him, certainly, because she got the drop on him. And why did she do this? Who knows? Maybe he's right. Maybe she was going through him to get to Justin. Maybe she was just so upset she was going to shoot anybody in front of her. Maybe she wanted him to shoot her. We don't know because she lied about it. We don't know. But the fact is, She started to shake, she started to tremble, and she lunged for the gun that he couldn't see. And what happened after she flipped? She stepped back, and now he had the right to shoot her. That's rules and discipline. That's the way his career went. And so she steps back, tap back, and tries to change him. Discipline, like we wish every police officer, every law enforcement agent in this country was. He should be applauded for his actions on that day. Tap rack again, threats on. To stop the threat. He stopped shooting when the threat was neutralized. Defense counsel, during his cross-examination, well, you would have unloaded her gun. He goes, no, that's not what you do. You shoot until the threat is neutralized. She was now down on the ground. But his training and experience are still taking over at this point, because what does he do? He still has his gun on her, because the gun's still there. He can't see it. Lieutenant Daly comes in, Lieutenant Houston comes up, and what does Officer Houston say that he sees when he comes upstairs? That Officer Noonan is standing there with the gun low and ready. His training is still taking place. He's still doing what he was trained to do. The gun is put on the bed. He's calm and collected. He takes the gun and moves it away so people are safe. He's deliberate in those actions. When it's away from her, he starts to tend to her. Officer Core comes in and he asks Officer Core to make the gun safe. He's cool, calm, and collected. That's what Lieutenant Daly expected, and that's what he was. He didn't make a mistake. That's what the credible evidence shows. And what did he say to Officer Houston after? And this just goes to state of mind, I know. That she pointed the gun at me, and it clicked. And she tried to rack him up. Immediately after, this wasn't him saving his hide or protecting himself. Seconds after this happened, that's what he said. Every piece of credible evidence points to the unmistakable fact that she is guilty. Every piece of physical evidence, scientific evidence, mechanical evidence, every piece of testimony from Daly to Houston to Core, even Lauren Page, the mother, even the defendant corroborates what Officer Newman says. Every piece. Your Honor, I would suggest to you there is only one fair and just verdict in this case, and that is guilty. Thank you.
Moving for a sidebar.
I'd like to speak with counsel anyway at sidebar for scheduling purposes.
Okay, we are back. That kind of ended right on time. The court should be coming out to announce the verdict. We're putting the stream back up. I want to tell you that Michael Bryant is in the courtroom. He had interesting pecking order for the seating room. He's posted on our X account. Families first, of course. Then the cops. Cops got priority. Then the trial witnesses. Then the media. Then the public. But he said that everybody who wanted to get in got in. Okay, so that's really interesting. He also said that Mark Betterow was with the team, Kelsey's team, with Tim Bradle in the back. As you know, they are representing Agent Carney.
Say to them.
This is an ad. This is not us. It's an ad from the streaming channel we're going to be bringing in. He also reports that there's serious faces on Kelsey and the defense team. So I don't know what that means. I mean, I think we're all serious right now, right? Incredibly. And our plan is, just so you know, is that we'll take the verdict when the judge lets everybody leave, depending on what the verdict is. Michael will go outside with his wireless Wi-Fi. He'll hook up and he'll try to get whatever interviews or whatever. And then he will get into the car at some point and take the mobile studio back to Connecticut. As he's driving, he will do the 6 o'clock show. Okay. So there were commercials on the stream that we put up, but I think we got to go back into court. I hope the stream that we put up next doesn't have commercials. I don't want to miss the verdict, hopefully. But okay, so we will be commercial free, okay? But I can't guarantee that the stream that we're pulling in is going to be commercial free because we did not elect to stream it as under the rule as a streaming partner. Because Legacy Media was covering some of the local Legacy Media, and they had done a really good job wiring the courtroom with Michael Bryant's help, I will tell you, as you recall that from day one. All right. So we're going to have to deal with commercials, I guess, from whoever we pull in, but that will not be our commercials from Justice Serve TV. So that should take something, a little bit away, from the commercials. But I see commercials there. I hope they're not missing the verdict. That's all I can say. Here we go with it. I mean, everyone's... as I told you, we thought that the verdict would come in today. Apparently, the judge did want to read it during the lunch hour. That was 1:30, but ran into some difficulties, as we guessed, rightfully, that there was some court personnel difficulties because they have lunch hours that they were taking, right? So they were probably, you just can't, you can't do that. By the way, we pulled some of the gun waving off when we were showing the prosecutor's closing, and we're going to have to go back and maybe pull it off some of our other streams. We understand that YouTube is taking the position that rebroadcasting the prosecutor's closing with his waving the gun violates their policy on gun use of some sort. All right, and so we elected to pass it in this stream, so we don't want to be taken down in the middle of the stream. And we'll see if we have to go back and remove it, from our YouTube streams, or else they could hit us with a 24-hour suspension, as they did with, let's see, Trial TV Live, okay, who posted that on X, okay. Yeah, when he looks at it, it's waving like a toy, but apparently, I'm sure they're going to obviously appeal that. But in the meantime, right? Court TV is up. Okay, whatever is up, let's get it in here so we don't miss it, please. I don't care who has it. Let's get it in. Okay, we don't want to miss the verdict, please. So let's get it in. As you know, Court TV is really long crime now, our old haunting grounds. All right, and no, okay, we're not missing we're not missing anything. Yeah, we could do that, but it takes work for everybody to go back and do it. Okay, all right, there you have the floor. Earlier in the week, we were seeing people's shoes, and I didn't recognize any of the shoes, as you know. Very interesting. Yeah, I've got 2 computers open in my phone and my iPad, because I've got to have one thing open for direct contact with Michael Bryant, one open because of my lawyers I'm working with on a case, and one open to do any posts that we need, and one open here. So I've got 4 things open here right now going. And I appreciate all moderators and all of you who came with us to the new stream. We were trying to give it to you ad-free, and that's why we did that. And I know it was a pain in the literal neck for everybody, especially Joy, Missy, and Sheila, especially Missy and Joy, and especially Missy, who's about that. Wow, let's see. I'm reading here. I'm reading. Here we go. Okay, I don't have any sound. There we go. I have sound now. Let's go. Here we go.
2025 77 CR 311. All counsel and the defendant are present.
Thank you. So before I begin, I'd like to speak to our audience members. I understand that this case has generated a lot of passion and emotion, but you must remember that this is a courtroom and not a sports arena. When I announce my verdict, you must not act out emotionally or visibly or audibly react. So you should leave the courtroom if you believe that you will be unable to maintain your composure. I'd like to start with a few introductory words. Let me say this, this is not in my script. This has been one of the more exhausting, hardest things I've had to do as a judge, as an attorney. So as the lawyers know, unlike when a judge presides over a jury rape trial in a civil case, there is no requirement that a judge explain their reasons for reaching a verdict after a criminal bench trial. I do so in this case because I think that Ms. Fitzsimmons, Officer Noonan, and all the people involved in the tragic events of June 30, 2025 deserve an explanation. Next, I'd like to take the opportunity to publicly thank and commend the attorneys in this case. They all did an exceptional job presenting the evidence and conducting themselves in an extremely professional and civil manner. And they did so under the public spotlight in an emotionally charged case. I commend you. To the extent that any of the prosecutors and attorneys may be vilified or subjected to public scorn for simply doing their jobs, in this case, I say that any such scorn is unfair, unwarranted, and simply wrong. These prosecutors and attorneys fought hard but performed their solemn jobs fairly with the utmost civility, and professionalism. They serve as a shining example of our adversarial system in operation. Now, I'd like to publicly acknowledge the crucial and often thankless role that police officers perform, a role that Ms. Fitzsimmons herself, like Officer Noonan, willingly and selflessly performed for the citizens of North Andover. For this, you should be thanked, not disparaged. For those that think that serving as a police officer is easy, or that officers don't care or take pride in their work, I say with more than 3 decades of experience in the criminal justice system that you are naive, misinformed, and sadly mistaken. The work of police officers is especially fraught with peril today because of our exceedingly cynical, polarized atmosphere where our citizenry often believes that there is a conspiracy under or around every corner. I saw no evidence of a conspiracy in this case. What I saw was dedicated public servants like Officer Noonan and his fellow officers doing the best they could under tragic, rapidly evolving emotional circumstances. What I also saw was a young woman, Ms. Fitzsimmons, who was also a dedicated public servant, react to sudden, confusing, and heartbreaking news. Now let me turn to the evidence and the law. Our system of justice requires me to decide this case solely on the law and the evidence. So the only things I have considered in reaching my verdict are the 98 exhibits submitted during the trial and the testimony of the 11 witnesses that testified here in open court. While it may be cold and uncaring, our system of justice demands that emotion, sympathy, and concern for the consequences of my decision play no role in my decision. As for the law, in order to prove Ms. Fitzsimmons guilty of the crime of assault by means of a dangerous weapon, the Commonwealth must prove the following three things. We lawyers call these things elements beyond a reasonable doubt. First, that Ms. Simmons committed an assault on Officer Newman. Second, that Ms. Simmons intended to commit the assault. And third, that the assault was committed by means of a dangerous weapon. The sole issue before me is whether the Commonwealth proved each of these three elements beyond a reasonable doubt. And more specifically, under the circumstances of this case, the narrow issue before me is whether the Commonwealth proved beyond a reasonable doubt that Ms. Fitzsimmons pointed a firearm at Officer Newman for any perceptible amount of time. What is not before me are the legality of the issuance of the restraining order to Mr. Alain, the reasonableness of the procedure used by the police to serve the restraining order, the legality of Officer Newman's use of force, and issues regarding custody of Baden. It is not my place to decide these issues or even mention my thoughts on them. I am thankful for this because my role has been hard enough. What has made my job especially difficult in this case is that by and large, I found the testimony of Officer Newman and Ms. Fitzsimmons to be credible on the material and relevant points. In my experience, this is unusual and somewhat perplexing. On the one hand, Ms. Fitzsimmons credibly testified that she never pointed a firearm at Officer Newman. On the other hand, Officer Newman testified that not only did Ms. Fitzsimmons point a gun at him, that she also pulled the trigger. Both agree that it happened in seconds near a narrow doorway, and the crime scene photos show that the door frame was made narrower by a clothes rack containing police uniforms that was to Officer Newman's left. The door frame was also made, the door frame was made still narrower when Officer Newman used it to take cover when he drew his firearm. During the closing argument, the Commonwealth argued that it is scientifically and physically impossible for Ms. Fitzsimmons' story to be true because there was a bullet in the chamber, and she said that Officer Newman shot her without her ever wrapping the slide after pulling the trigger. I disagree that the evidence reflected that the only way to chamber a round would have been to pull the slide under those circumstances. However, even if I assume that Ms. Fitzsimmons lied about not wrapping the slide, it does not detract from the adamancy and credibility of her testimony that she never pointed the gun at Officer Newman, about which he was equally as adamant that she did. Perhaps the Commonwealth could have easily met its burden if the officers had been wearing body cameras. But under these circumstances, I am left with a reasonable doubt, and I am duty-bound to find that the Commonwealth has not met its burden to prove that Ms. Fitzsimmons committed an assault by means of a dangerous weapon on Officer Newman, and my verdict is, and must be, not guilty. With that, I will hand the signed verdict slip.
That's exactly what Michael, Bryant, and I said was going to happen.
Mr. Wayne, and ask that he advise Ms. Fitzsimmons of her statutory rights.
Ms. Fitzsimmons, could you please stand? On docket 2025, 77 CR 311, count 001. The court having returned a verdict of not guilty, the court orders it to be discharged of this indictment, and this indictment only, and go thereof without delay. Kelsey Fitzsimmons, as required by statute, I must inform you that the records regarding the charges for which you have been found not guilty will be sealed by the Commissioner of Probation and by the court unless you notify the Commissioner of Probation in writing within 10 days that you do not want those records sealed. To request that those records not be sealed, you may use the request not to seal form posted on the trial court's webpage on mass.gov, or a copy of which I will hand to your counsel. I cannot accept the form here in court. You must submit it to the Commissioner of Probation at the address provided on the form. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Court is adjourned.
Take off the scram in the courtroom. Take off the scram.
And thank you once again. Thank you. Oh, there are other sessions still going. Please be quiet on your way out.
I want to see them cut off I want to see them like throw the scram in the garbage in the courtroom.
Tight space here.
Okay, so what did the judge say? Well, we're coming out. Exactly what we've been talking about, because you guys are so smart, because you know this, right? All right. The judge, first of all, said not to react to the verdict. He said this is one of the hardest things he ever had to do. He thanked the police. He said people have conspiracy theories and hate the police, but they don't value them, and the police are important. But remember, Kelsey was a police officer too. The judge said that emotion would not affect his decision, that the Commonwealth had to prove all elements beyond a reasonable doubt, okay? That's Tim Bradle's closing. The judge said he wouldn't factor anything regarding the RO. The only issue is what happened in Kelsey's bedroom, which is what you and I and Michael have been talking about for the past week. That's it. That's all that counts. He found interesting both Noonan and Kelsey's testimony credible. We told you he wasn't going to find Noonan incredible. He was going to probably miss perception or whatever. He said because they had the exact opposite version of the events. What concerned me when he said is that there was the bullet in the chamber and therefore the gun was re-racked. However, he is not moved by this because he said the police didn't have body cameras. So he left open what we talked about, that maybe that happened not because Kelsey did it, but because it happened afterwards. And then he said as a result of that, he cannot find that the Commonwealth has met its burden. Oh, look at that. Oh, don't you want to cry, everybody? Don't you want to just cry? You just want to cry. Let's give a chance to cry. And then the judge said, not guilty. Finding not guilty of the charges. Okay. All right. Don't you just want to cry? All right. Let's just watch this moment. Wow. Wow. And Tim Bradle, who's been through, just a year, Judge, McCarthy Naaman. I should say it like Michael Bryant says, McCarthy Naaman. Okay, I'm getting, just unbelievable here. We have been such an advocate, and usually Justice Serve TV tries not to take a position on a case, but we couldn't help on this one because she was just being treated so unfairly. Initially it was like, well, we don't know what happened, but she's being treated unfairly. Then it was clear that this has just been horrible. I see what Michael Bryant's talking about. He said that I would like Courtney. That's Courtney there, Tim Bradle's fabulous paralegal assistant. Would love her suit, and I do. I love her suit with the yellow shirt. All right, so let's get rid of that scram. I just want to get rid of the scram. I'd like to drop it off at Judge McCarthy Naaman's chambers, but then you'd probably get indicted for some kind of judge intimidation. All right, everyone's in the courtroom. Look at that smile on Courtney's face, the relief on Kelsey's face. I mean, you clearly the pressure. Imagine all of you having the pressure, right? Well, yeah, and the pressure on her. And this judge called it right. He absolutely called it right. The one thing we told you was we were concerned about the re-racking. And Michael Bryant said, yeah, but he has to get around the chain of custody. And that's what the judge basically said. He said he's not moved by it. Body cameras would have solved everything, wouldn't they? Okay. Hint, North Andover. So we've got, we finally got justice here. So we've got Karen Reed, worked out right. All because of, this is really public pressure that shined the light on these cases, right? This is public pressure that shined the light on these cases. And now we've got Kelsey Fitzsimmons. And I would say to you, maybe because I represent him in the Jersey case, we have Aiden Carney to go. All right. Massachusetts is really, it's being embarrassed. And I'm embarrassed for it because I tried Hernandez up in Suffolk County. And Suffolk County, they were great. And they were just great. You know, they were terrific. The prosecutors were honest. The judge was good. The jury was fabulous. Okay. But you can see why Tim Bradel wanted Judge Karp and thought that he would give them a fair shake. And that's all he wanted was a fair shake. And you knew when the judge yesterday, when he said to Bradel, you know, it's your call. I don't really need a jury view, but it's your call. You knew that was a hint. Okay. It was also a hint when the judge said this morning that he would give the verdict during the lunch hour. That was a hint. He's had enough. He'd seen enough. And all, and you've seen enough. Okay, so are we happy, everybody? Are we happy? I mean, just, you know, Purple Hearts for Kelsey, absolutely, because now she's got to still go through going through the juvenile courts, the family courts, to get access to her son back, and all. And you know, Michael will obviously talk to Steve, her dad, to get him on the show either tonight or tomorrow night. We're not leaving you, by the way. We're staying with you. Michael's going to get out from the court. We'll see if there's a press conference, we'll cover it. He'll get in his car and we'll do the 6 o'clock show wherever he is for Kelsey. Yay to Kelsey. I mean, we had a thumbnail up, Kelsey, justice or injustice. I think I'm going to have to change that thumbnail. Okay. You know, maybe, you know, Karp rules. That's and he really does. I kind of like that. Kelsey Karp rules. And then tomorrow night is just going to be a celebration for our 6 o'clock show, a celebration for Kelsey. And we'll see about everybody's schedules there. Whoa, look at that. There we go. Look at that verdict. Look at that. We're seeing all sorts of things. So that's lawyer, you know. We don't need to see him. You can watch him later. You can watch us first. This was a great, this was yearly, right? This was like this was the whole year. I mean, really, when you think about it, almost, you know, but just the intensity of this case. Everything was intense about this case. And it was interesting. The judge found both Kelsey and Noonan credible, which we kind of thought that. Missy, you're looking for the presser. I'm looking for Michael, who should be at the presser, right, Missy? Yeah, he's supposed to be. I don't know where he was sitting. I was so busy trying to take down what the judge was said. I should go to see what Michael said with regard to his views of what was happening in the courtroom. Because I was so busy writing down what the judge was saying as if I were the attorney in the case. Okay. Well, he's got a copy of the verdict form. The judge signed it. There we go. Not guilty, and really strong letters, strong signature, 2:15 p.m., 1:50 p.m. He says he started. You know, it just apparently there was a lot of hugging going on in that courtroom. Okay. Yes, Michael is going to be outside. He's going to be outside first. I think he will leave somewhere around 3 o'clock, 3:30, depending on when the presses are over, depending on when he books people for tonight's show. Of course, you want to all come back for that, but you're not leaving yet because we're not leaving you but he's there. But yes, look at that. Commonwealth versus Kelsey Fitzsimmons verdict slip. Assault by means of a dangerous weapon. The court, Karp, J, period, finds the defendant, Kelsey Fitzsimmons. And then there's a big X. If I can pull this into our stream, if I can pull the verdict form into our stream, I will. Open image in a new window. Let me see if I can do that. I'll pull it out and I'll try to pull it into our stream. I first have to then, I have to airdrop it to myself, which I will do if you don't, you guys bear with me so you can see it. Airdrop it to my work computer. I told you I have 4 different things open here. I'm going to airdrop that in. Okay. Here's the image. That's the wrong image. Okay, application. Hold on a second. Downloads. Wow, my airdrop fooled me. It decided to go bye-bye the other way. So we're going to do it again. All right, and here we go. Here it is. All right, There we go. I'm going to pull it in. GW image file, and it's here we go. Okay, I'm going to pull it in, and then I'm going to add it to the stage. In 1 second. There we go. There it is. There it is. Look at that beautiful verdict form. Look at that gorgeous verdict form. The ones us defense attorneys love to see. Not guilty. By the way, the judge also went through the elements of the what the Commonwealth had to prove, including intent, right? Intent, something that we focused on, something that Tim Bradel focused on in his summation, and the fact that the gun had to be pointed in a dangerous way. And that's when he said he gave credibility to both, but that he felt that the Commonwealth did not meet its burden in the case, and could, you know, and could have easily met its burden if it had cameras, but it didn't have body cameras. Michael Bryant, are you crying? Are you crying, Michael?
I am not crying. No. Are you a little misty?
Yes.
Hey, wait,
yes,
here goes. Hold on. I'm going to turn this around here. It's
nice
more important.
See something, yeah.
Can you see folks leaving? This is the phalanx of cops. All of those guys. All the cops.
What was their reaction in the courtroom?
Heads down. Yeah, I mean, look at that. I mean, that's ridiculous. How many cops are here?
Right. It's ridiculous. I mean, you know, and somebody had to organize that. And you want to think about how Kelsey and her family feel about being safe, right? These are the people that have to protect them.
I know. Hey, look who's here.
It's Cheech. Hey, Linda. What's up?
Turn that over. Turn it over. There you go.
Sorry, girl.
There you go,
Linda, we
Cheech.
love you. Beautiful Linda.
Your fan club's here.
Oh,
Exactly. How you doing, Linda?
Thanks
Hey,
a
good. How you
lot.
guys
Raising all
doing?
that money in North Shore Nacho.
How you doing out there? Are you crying? I mean, we were crying on the stream.
I'll give you just a sense of the scene.
Look at that. Look at that. I can't believe all the cops came out like that they all were in there. And that the court gave them priority seating was interesting. I was a little worried when they got priority seating. Mazza, yeah, thank you, Mazza. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, everybody, you know.
And Aiden making an exit. He's become, this is what he does.
Ask Aiden when he comes in. Grab Aiden if he could, if he comes, yeah?
Hold on a sec. Let me get a word to you. Okay, we're on. So give me your
Hey,
dude.
Two down, one to go. Right?
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, really.
To go. That's my takeaway.
Linda, do you have a
Hey,
question?
buddy. Yeah, I have a question. Aiden, you had a comment yesterday that the prosecutor did what a woman should have been doing. Hey, I'm glad you picked me, you know?
You made a comment about the prosecutor doing what a woman should have been doing. Does that sound familiar to you?
I think on the Kelsey cross-examination.
We're talking about the Kelsey cross? Yes.
Yeah, I think it would have been better. The optics of it. But again, he didn't really put up a fight at all either. You know what I mean? So
what'd you think about the judges? I knew he was going to slow roll it.
oh my God. He made that as dramatic as possible, didn't he? Oh, goodness. I didn't know which way he was going. When he started saying good things about cops and saying not everything's a conspiracy, I'm like, don't like the sounds of that. Yeah. You know, but
and then he turned.
Yeah, then all of a sudden, when he mentioned the gun in the chamber, I'm like, don't like the sounds of that. And then he's like, but at the same time, she says her testimony conflicts that, right? I got to go back and listen to it again.
When he got to that point where he said, when he decided that wasn't the only way a bullet can get in the gun, then I knew where he was going.
Yes. As soon as he said that, then it just was all, Jess Machado stood next to me. She's like, it's going to be an acquittal. I'm like, yep. Oh, yeah. So couldn't type fast enough. That was like wild, dude. That was wild, man.
Yeah.
Holy cow. He did that in the most dramatic way possible. But
I knew that was coming because I've seen him. Every decision he's made has been very measured and very.
I'd say so, dude. That was intense. So happy for her. She was like holding Bradel's hand like tight, like squeezing it, and like
where we felt it turned, he kind of
yes.
Too.
Yeah. That was surreal, man. So now not guilty never gets. You notice this never happens in other states. Every other time I watch another state, they're always guilty. Maybe they should stop indicting innocent people in this state. I don't know.
Before you came out, it looked like the whole department of every cop in the area came out in a solid line. They were leaving the courtroom. There were like 15 of them. Yeah, as they all wandered out just before you came out. Just
Another L. I don't know what they I don't know. Because I don't get why they're here, to be honest. I don't get it. Like, he didn't get hurt, right? I mean, it's like he's telling one story.
One of theirs got hurt.
Yeah, I mean, the only person that got shot here is Kelsey Fitzsimmons, right? I mean, so like, what's he a victim of? Like, okay, you're a victim of. You're saying a guy. Worst case scenario, she pointed a gun at you, shot you. Nobody got hurt. What are you talking about, right? Like, we're all here. Like, oh, you okay? Are you? What happened to you? Nothing happened to you. What are you talking? What are we doing here?
It's embarrassment.
Yeah, another fake victim. A fake victim. I mean, the judge said. I mean, the judge is going to be not guilty because
really.
Well, it's like, well, you can have, they both, but he's like, then to me, that means not guilty because that means default not guilty, right? Because it's like, well, neither, I believe both of you.
If you got to be a reasonable doubt in there.
If you believe her at all, then it's not guilty, period. So is what it is. Like, credible just because she's not a ninja, right? I mean, that's what she'd have to be. That space between the chair and the box there was like 3 inches. How'd she fit in that? Yeah, like he didn't see it. I mean, that fact that he didn't tackle her makes no sense. You know, I didn't like the gun in the chamber thing. Like,
I didn't either. That was the one thing I had concerns with. But the chain of custody was shaky,
and she could also but she didn't testify to that. That was the problem. She didn't testify.
That was the key, and that's why that had to be cleaned up. And I think the judge
silent. Right?
I think that's why the judge saw that there was too many questions about where this gun was between when it was found with a cartridge in it and when it wasn't.
I mean, Gubitos was good today for one. I mean, it was horrible yesterday, but that was a good closing. No, I mean, I
thought he was a little over dramatic for a judge versus a jury, but otherwise, okay.
His point about, I mean, his strongest evidence is the gun in the chain. I mean, that's a strong,
no doubt,
you know. And
I think for Bradel, the strongest argument was, how does he, if he's standing right there, let all of that happen in front of him before?
How does he not tackle him?
Yeah,
somebody, you got a gun in my head. I have the pure luck of it not firing, and you're right in front of me. I'm tackling you. Yeah, I'm taking you. Oh, awesome.
I'm not having a conversation.
No, I'm not giving you like, please put it down. No, I'm tackling you. You're right there. You weigh 100 pounds, right? Soaking wet. And I'm just going to tackle you, and I'm going to eliminate this threat, and everyone's going to go home safe today. No one's going to get shot. That's what I don't know, but I'm not Rambo like he is. I don't know. So
that's what sunk his testimony to me. The guy is. I'm sorry, Linda. We're having a conversation. I'm sorry.
Don't worry about me.
Hi, Linda. How you doing?
Hey, buddy.
So that's where I think he was sunk, Noonan. It's just that his story was just ridiculous.
His story was ridiculous. He looked ridiculous. The suit every day being the same suit was ridiculous. Can we get a new suit? Like, seriously, bro, you make enough money, you can buy a second suit. I mean, it was the same saver suit every single day. You know the cameras are going to be on you. You can't wear the same suit every day, 3 days in a row. That's horrible, you know? So the glasses were a bit much. You know, the whole production was a bit much. And like, I don't know, the whole like, oh yeah, I went to Lawrence to like get the urban vibe, and because I'm just a street guy and I really like getting out there in the streets. And then I want to bring my insight about the streets to the suburbs of North Andover to let them all know about what a hero I am here, what a badass. I mean, and how about the fact that the court officer announced before that, like, cops get in first? Do you see that?
The whole, the pecking order was ridiculous. Obviously, family first, but then cops and witnesses, and then
I understand if you testify. The 3 that testified, okay, fine, let them in there. All cops, everybody gets in. Why are they any more important than anyone else? What do they do? What do they do? Is anybody policing the town of North Andover today? Because
today's a good day to go rip them off.
Yeah, apparently, if you like shoplifting, go to North Andover today. No one's working. Like, don't just go in there. You know, like.
Yeah.
So what do you think happens now with the firefighter that's on suspension?
That's his problem. I mean, she's got to work on getting her baby back, right?
Okay.
Well, that's definitely the next step, and we'll talk to Julie Hess about that when she comes out here.
Yeah.
So what do you think the impact? Oh, wait. Linda's trying to get in on the mix here. Hold on a second. Okay, go ahead.
How is it, Aiden, that you in Massachusetts could have Judge McCarthy Naaman, Judge Beverly Cannoni, and then have the good guy, Judge Clark?
Yeah. So how do you explain this? You seem to have cops on
Deviation.
one side of the spectrum or the other. You know, with Canone, with Naaman,
Mhm.
and then you have Carp, who seems
Yeah.
to be decent. Mary Black in Salem seems pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion, that's what's wrong. And then you got Krupp. Yeah, like it's like, and that's what's wrong with the judicial system, in my opinion, is that I don't know how this works. You guys are lawyers, not me. Like, it seems like the law should be the law, not like the law is one thing if this person's on the bench and the law is this thing if this person. That doesn't make any sense to me. Either the law is the law or it's not. It should be black and white, not like who's wearing the robe today. They get to decide what the law is. To me, that makes no sense at all. But again, I'm just an award-winning journalist. What do I know about the law? I don't know.
Right.
You know, so. Oh, well, of course, you got it. Where's your awards, Turtle Boy? Oh, they're hanging on my wall, Jill. That's where they are. They're hanging on my wall.
All right.
You know?
Okay,
All
so
right,
what's
tell
what?
him thank you, buddy.
Wait,
I want to tell him thank you. No, I want to tell him thank you, buddy, and I'll see him soon. Okay?
She's good.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. You guys keep up the good work, Justice.
Okay.
Okay, so let's give you another broad look here of what's happening.
Yeah, and I want to thank all the podcast streamers who are in here. Broken Baker, you're right. We're stronger together when we take a case that's clearly awful, and it also helps all of us when we do criminal law and we do our own cases. Right, it helps all of us that people understand that the law is going to be looked at in daylight. No more just like hiding it, because if it hadn't been for everybody here taking up Kelsey's case, people may have just passed it. If she was just, there was a cop shooting, right? And it was in the middle. We were talking about the Karen Reed verdict, right, Michael? So just incredible. Is that Scott with the flag? I just see a flag. So
What do you think? What's your guess?
If I had to put a C note on it like you did the other night, I would say that
he was here. Yeah, I mean, this trial, started Monday, ended today. So, it's really kind of a telescoped version of a lot of trials we might cover that drag on quite a bit longer. But Monday was a horrible day weather-wise, and he was out here with that damn flag and his sign. He is proud of his new sign. Can you see his sign there? Do I have it framed up? How about that? How's that?
It's too far away.
No, okay, but it says, I think it says Free Kelsey Fitzsimmons, but he was very proud he got that made up recently.
Yeah, so
he's here when many are not.
Yeah, it was really interesting when the judge started out, and he did exactly what you and I said, Michael. He was not going to indict Noonan. There was no way he was going to do that because
totally credible, very credible.
He wasn't going to indict him. The one issue with the bullet in the chamber, you specifically were said that he's got a problem with the chain of custody, and the judge really indicted the cops here, the North End over here, about not having body cams. That was pretty. I thought that
you're right. There were a couple of political comments in the judge's words. Yeah, you're right.
And we know, and the police should be valued, but Kelsey was also a police person, so that's really interesting. How did the family? We saw her hug. We saw her hug people in the courtroom. Who was she hugging, and what did that seem like when you were watching?
Everybody. Everybody. I mean, obviously started with her team and then the family, which was seated right behind her. And then kind of spread from there. As she went outside the courtroom, some of her, strongest supporters who've been around since the beginning, she acknowledged them, a very heartfelt moment, a little misty for a lot of folks who have been so invested in this case for so long.
That's amazing. So what are we watching right now? I mean, and I just thought when the judge said, but the burden of proof, as soon as he said burden of proof, that was it. It was all over. The case was all over.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So and so he did exactly what we thought he would do. He relied on the burden of proof and intent. He said there was a one point in the statute that I thought when he said the word intent, he kind of emphasized that you have to prove intent, it would be unreasonable doubt. And then he found the Commonwealth couldn't meet the burden. It didn't meet the burden here.
It would seem to me that what I picked up on that was the first sign it was going toward acquittal was when he gave an explanation for the bullet or the projectile being in the gun. That yes. The Commonwealth's position was there's only one way that could happen, and that would be if she racked the gun. Well, maybe not. And of course, the custody issues left that as a question for the court to figure out. Well, maybe there was some other way it happened, and that in and of itself is reasonable doubt. If you can't put the bullet in the gun at her hand, which is the tap and rack that was so important to Noonan's description of what happened, that's a doubt. That's a doubt.
And even then, you still had to get to intent if she pointed it with intent, you know?
Yeah, remember what he described was if at any time perceptible, I think is how he described it. If at any point perceptibly she was pointing the gun at Noonan. Well, that makes it a very subjective analysis. Like, well, if Noonan felt it was being pointed at her, then maybe it was perceptibly pointed at him for a period of time. But he disposed of that. But it sounded like that sounds like it's going toward conviction here if he's putting that sort of subjective interpretation in Noonan's hands, the guy that he said was credible.
Now, see, I had a different view of that because you and I talked about perception. I thought he could say Noonan may have perceived it, but it was not true in the heat of what was going on.
Yeah, I think ultimately that's probably how he decided that it was a perception. It was a misperception. The judge had to step in as the fact finder and say, even if he felt that it was perceived, the judge didn't see it. And I don't think that was based on Noonan's testimony per se. I think it was based on the totality of the circumstances, that's where the judge came down on it. That maybe, I don't know if reasonable person would be the appropriate analysis, but based on the facts as he heard them play out, nobody could have really perceived the gun being pointed at them. And to me, again, the key issue was Noonan clearly not being in front of Kelsey Fitzsimmons for the entire process. It's impossible because she would never have been able to open up that chest, grab the gun, put it to her own head, and him not do a thing but watch. Never happened.
Okay, so here's my question. I want the scram, whatever the scram is that she carries, the notification. I want it to go in the garbage or outside Judge McCarthy Neiman's chambers. Are we lighting this whatever the scram is up, or do we have to, we haven't, we know what the scram is when you blow into it, but she was supposed to have it with her, right? The judge hadn't removed it, but now it'd be removed because she's acquitted. She doesn't have to blow into any scram.
Yeah, I would assume that the probation department is they're all upstairs in one of the back rooms, sorting things out, paperwork, etc. Because there's paperwork. I assume part of that is going to be the probation department reclaiming their scram device.
Okay. And I would imagine, quite frankly, that Mr. January, the probation officer,
yes, Mr. January, also known as Mr. Tuesday,
who has an issue with Judge McCarthy Neiman, I think that they may be very happy that she has been acquitted.
If I were him and anybody else in that department, and I'm guessing others have been treated similarly by Judge McCarthy Neiman, this is a little victory for them too.
Yeah. So who's outside now?
So Melanie Little caught it.
I'm sorry, what was that? What was that again?
No.
What was that again, Linda?
I didn't say that. I said who's outside there? Who is that?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, obviously this is, the media queuing up for the presser to come.
Are you stuck behind a certain
And if
area?
you get down toward the end of this line, are they coming out? No, I don't want to get in the way of the shot. No, they're not coming out. Okay. As you get down toward the end of the line, it's, supporters. So
is that
I'll
by some kind of court order about where the media has to stay and supporters have to stay, or are you free to roam around?
No, there's really, this is all kind of self-imposed. Nobody has been told to do anything or any.
There's no buffer zone?
Is there what?
Buffer zone? Buffer zone. Is there no buffer zone?
I do know. Yeah, I do know a buffer zone. There's a lot of extraneous noise out here. So
was the neighbor who Noonan called Kelsey Fitzsimmons a whack job to, is she there in that group still?
That's a good question.
Because I'd love to interview her, have her on the show, because she was a pistol and she was terrific and she had courage, man.
Yeah, I don't see her, but that doesn't mean she is not here somewhere. This side of the line, I've moved around from the back side. This is, supporters, and I recognize a few of these folks. There's Kelsey's godfather over there. We spoke to him the other day, and it's really, I would say, 1-to-1 media to supporters. To be honest with you.
Yeah. Do you want to see if he wants to say anything to us right now?
Who you want me to check with?
The godfather.
Oh yeah, we spoke to him yesterday, but here they come. Hold on.
Okay, here they come. All right, let's listen then and watch. Woohoo!
Congratulations.
It was just another day at the office today. Just want to say that we want to thank so many people. You know, we want to thank Kelsey and her family for having faith in us. We, meaning Martha and I, want to thank so many people that Kelsey and her family had faith in us. And, you know, we had a very tough playing field for a long time. And we also want to thank Judge Karp, who did a great job and was a gentleman and treated us fairly and with justice. And that's all we ever asked for. And we finally got it. So we're relieved. And, but other than thanking everybody, I just want to hand it over to Martha, and she's going to have some words for everybody first.
So thanks, Tim. This is not only the right result, it's a righteous result today. It's been a long odyssey for those of you who come. And we started off in this case, you know, understanding, as we all do, and as the judge said, policing is a tough job. Being a mom is a tough job. And on June 30th, Kelsey had to do both. She's trying to be a mom. She's trying to get back to work. And then her world fell apart. And unfortunately, on that day, as she said to the judge, and you heard in court, she had to deal with all that. And unfortunately, what happened in that bedroom started a chain of events with a narrative that they never diverged from. They never asked her about it. They rushed to judgment. And that case took on a life of its own, which unfortunately interfered with her life for an unnecessary and difficult time. I think Tim and I have known from the beginning that that wasn't fair, that the charges probably weren't fair, and that we were going to deal with the system, and we were going to take this trial, as Kelsey has said, without fail. She just wanted the truth to come out. She was able to do that when she testified in this case. And again, we're grateful for the judge's work. We're happy with this decision. And it's the right decision, as we said. She was always innocent until proven guilty. Commonwealth did not meet their burden of proof. And she is innocent today.
Kelsey, what was it like to hear that word, not guilty? To hear the judge say not guilty this afternoon. Sat there, you understand yesterday telling your story. Share with us with that as well.
So I got shot. I went to jail for 103 days. I haven't seen my son. I had to sell my home that I worked very hard for. So this is my first breath of fresh air, and I feel like I can breathe again. However, my fight is not over. I have a son that I need to reunite with, and that's where we are right now.
So that was my next question. What's next for you and how this verdict might?
I won't get into that, but I will say I am really excited to see my son again. I will also not get into that. But
yeah, today we're celebrating this verdict.
Yeah,
and that's
I'm
what we're focusing on
today.
One day at a time.
And I also would just like to thank everybody who stood outside each and every day, supported me, believed me before I got to tell my story, because it wasn't 9 months later until I got to tell the truth. And that was a long 9 months. And through those 9 months, you guys knew the truth. You guys believed in me. And thank you for that.
Kelsey, what's the message? Kelsey, what's the message to others that are in a position like yours after what happened today? What would you tell them?
Don't stop fighting for what's right. And when you know you didn't do something wrong, keep fighting for that.
Did you know the police officer again?
I won't comment on that either. I don't know what my career goals are at the moment.
What have the last 9 months been like for you as a person, as a mother, as a defendant?
There's not a word. If you want an image of it, picture me on a mat in a jail cell crying for my son day after day after day after day. That's the only, there's not a word for that. But that is what happened to me.
I'm not guilty if all of this stuff has happened to you.
that one to you.
Leave that one to the lawyers. Sir.
Hey, Kelsey, the judge was not exactly speedy in getting to the ultimate decision. How painful was that to sit there and just wait for what was
I mean, it's okay. He had to go through all the evidence, and there was a lot. So
We thought he was pretty quick, actually. And we obviously, with a good judge, didn't have the issue with the jury. He told us when he was going to decide. We knew he was going to write his decision, which was helpful, and he told that in public. So we had this hybrid trial with the judge who was both the judge and the jury, and he was forthcoming throughout the trial, transparent, and told us he was going to tell us why the decision, which of course we would not have gotten with the jury verdict. So it's helpful to have that.
Kelsey, did you expect this verdict? Were you surprised and why do you think they were?
So I'm just going to repeat what I said earlier to that question. A set of things got set into motion on June 30th that then followed a narrative starting that night in that room that never really got challenged, that never really got investigated with any investigation occurred, that never got tested in any way. But the presumption was that she was a defendant in this case. And so that's unfortunate because she couldn't talk for a while. She's being held for a while. She never got a chance really to tell her story. Ordinarily, the system shouldn't work that way, but both Attorney Bradel and I have been on both sides of the system. We know how it works, and sometimes when it doesn't work well and it works slowly, that's unfortunately what happened in this case. And we fought every way with Kelsey to make sure that justice was done. It took longer than it should have, we think. It was more painful than it should have been, but look, we got the right result today, and we are happy with that.
What's the next thing you want to do now that you're
all
not
of
guilty?
your
Guys, hold
bail-
on. Let's get these guys over here.
Starting today, all of your bail restrictions are lifted, and you said you can breathe again, but there's a lot of changes that are going to take place today. You have a lot more freedom than you had. How do you plan to start that journey of freedom?
I want to go for a walk with my dog. I can't wait to take him for a run. I haven't been able to do that. That's our thing, going for a run. So I'm sure he would love
And
that.
don't forget, she couldn't do that.
Right.
She had to sit in her house. That was her best case scenario, that she was a prisoner in her own home. And then her worst case scenario at the outset of this case, and like Martha said, this was such a bumpy road, a long, bumpy road that never should have happened. And, you know, she had to spend time in prison. As a former police officer and corrections officer, she gets sent to jail. Someone with no criminal record, someone who shows up to court, has a wonderful history in this county, and sent to jail. To me, it's unprecedented. It terrorized her, and it's a horrendous, awful thing that happened. This case started out as a circus, and we are so grateful to end up in Lawrence in front of Judge Karp, who, like I said, is an absolute gentleman, a consummate jurist, and he treated everyone in that room with respect, with humanity. Appreciated for it.
You have a message to your former colleague?
Called it confusing.
Well, Charlie, you know, he's the fact finder. He's got to make the sausage in the back room. You know, he's got to think about everything, and you know, it's a tough job for any fact finder in any case, really. But I mean, you know, Kelsey has said to you guys every time we're out here, I can't wait to get to the truth. I can't wait for the truth to come out. And finally, she got her chance, and she told the truth, and she put herself out there. The one person in the whole room that didn't have to testify. She's the one that got up there, put herself out there, and told the truth. And the judge, I think, treated her wonderfully and was very humane and kind, and listened attentively to not only her, but to everybody in the case. And we're grateful for that.
And I'll just add two things to that. First of all, people can believe they're telling the truth when they're mistaken, so they can appear to be credible but be wrong. And when a defendant like this is credible, I think, as Tim said in his opening and his closing, that creates reasonable doubt. And so that's the standard. The Commonwealth always has the burden beyond a reasonable doubt. We didn't know the one thing we weren't going to get was a hung jury here. So,
Josie, do you have a question?
Put me on the spot, Tree Bradle, but it's okay. How are you feeling, Kelsey?
I feel good. I feel relieved. I was eager to do this, and I said from day one, the truth will come out. And it did.
Anybody else?
It's not a word. It's not a word. It's the most devastating thing that you can do to a new mom. And hopefully changes will be made where a new mom or anyone will never have to go through something like this.
We've talked about that, and we're going to talk about that with legislators. What kind of a system is it that somebody can walk into court, fill out a piece of paper, and in 15 minutes, take someone's baby away, take a mom of a newborn's baby away? It's just an incredible thing, and it shouldn't happen. And we're going to work on some reforms of that statute.
Tim, how much impact do you think it had that the complainant had connections, friends within the law enforcement community? So maybe you can't be just anybody coming and filling out a form.
To be determined, Michael. To be determined. We have some other investigations to work on, and we're going to leave no stone unturned, and we're going to find out exactly how and why this happened, who's responsible, and we're not stopping here. The things that happened to Kelsey, we have with respect to her home being broken into, we've reported that to the FBI, and I've had it with Essex County, and there are other avenues to pursue, and we're pursuing them, and we're in touch with the FBI on all sorts of federal crimes that were committed, and we're in the process of dealing with it there. That's one example of other avenues that we're taking here. We're not sitting here at Essex County's beck and call. We know where to go, and we know who to talk to, and we are doing that. Anybody else? Thank you, everybody.
thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, so we heard it first. Michael, we
survived.
finally heard it. Although I was texting you wildly. Please ask about the scram. Please ask about the scram.
What?
Please ask
Yeah.
about the scram.
Yeah, now you can try that again. What was that? What were you begging to be asked?
To ask about the scram device, please.
Oh, darn it. Well, I think it went unsaid. I'm sorry, I didn't get the scram question out there.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. It's like we have to get a better system here, all right? But you heard it first, though, from Tim Connolly directly. We have been in touch with the FBI. Right?
Hold on just a second. I'm going to get.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, this is Will Page, stepfather of Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Linda is very concerned about the scram device.
It's off. Everything's off. She's free to go.
They left it behind with the probation department.
Yes, that was one of the first things Kelsey did.
Okay. She was very concerned. You're going to come on and talk to us later? Is that right? Sure. Okay. We're going to get these guys. We're going to get the family on later tonight. Thanks, buddy.
I don't know if they dropped it, if it's going to be dropped in front of Judge McCarthy Naaman's door. That's what I want. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to take one for the team. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
I feel so strongly about it. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. What else you see?
What'd I say about Courtney's
So
blue suit?
Yeah, I love it's Courtney's blue suit, electric blue. It's electric blue, and that's Will Page. So you have his contact information. So our wonderful producers and moderators can send the link for tonight, which I have just changed. And I said instead of justice or injustice, because we weren't sure there was going to be a verdict today initially when we did the template for it last night. But now it's CARP rules. Justice served. CARP rules, justice served. Okay, for our 6 o'clock show. Wow, scram. Yes, I am. I'm obsessed with the scram. Okay, I really want to take it. I want to dump it in front of McCarthy Naaman. Okay.
Well, I know what to get you for Christmas.
Scramdamite. No, actually, I'll take an emerald or something. You know, there's a story.
Okay, before I get out of here, let me have a word with this criminal.
Okay.
What,
Okay.
How you doing,
Hey,
man?
Mark.
Okay, how are you? What's up?
Good. Well,
tell Mark
everyone
I
wants
said
to know
hello.
about your foot.
It's not that
Come up with a romantic story.
I was not skydiving. I was not doing ninja stuff. No, I just slipped on the stairs.
So worth the trip?
I mean, I'm here anyway, so I was glad to be here. It's the right result. I'm not surprised. The bench trial decision was the right thing to do, and you know that not just from the result, but you hear the reasoning of the judge. That's exactly what you want. You can't determine what happened. There's credible testimony, so he says, from both people. That's for the defense every time. So this was always going to be an acquittal.
When you're listening to him talk about his reasoning, was there any point at which you thought this might go toward conviction, or were you convinced it was acquittal all the way?
No, I think his reasoning, if you listen to it and understand reasonable doubt and what he's doing, that within 30 seconds, it was clear that he was going to acquit. I mean, he didn't say that, but he talked about, credible testimony from two people. Once he said that, it was going to be an acquittal, because if Kelsey is remotely credible and plausible, that's going to be reasonable doubt. And it is not surprising at all that he would be very respectful to Officer Noonan. This was never going to be a contest between what happened. It was going to be a contest about whether there was proof beyond a reasonable doubt that she pointed a firearm at him. And there was credible, unimpeached testimony that she didn't. I mean, once she testified the way she did, wasn't even cross-examined, unimpeached, case was over, right? It was over yesterday.
Appreciate it, sir. See you next time. Take care of that foot.
Michael.
All right.
Michael, could you let me have a question?
I know you were probably in my ear, but I cannot hear much of anything.
I am in your ear because I'd like to have a question with my co-counsel. Okay.
I know, but I could barely hear who I'm talking to, let alone you. I'm sorry.
My
It's
God.
just it's a technical issue.
I have to get myself a new streaming partner. I mean, I'm purposely shutting you out. No, I literally, I can barely hear in this. We got to get this thing. The volume is just so low. It helps when we're just like talking like now, but you put in a little bit of crowd noise, somebody I'm interviewing, and sorry. Can you go back to Mr. Mark and ask him if he'll come on the show with us tomorrow night?
Oh, tomorrow. Oh, okay, yeah.
Tomorrow night.
Should I try?
Use the co-counsel. Would really like to have you on the show, and I will take
Let me see if I can find
device. I will take.
Okay, I'm going to ask him. Okay, Linda said, "Would you, her co-counsel, come on tomorrow night? Come on the show tomorrow night? Can we find you?"
If you look for us at the Celtics game, we'll be glad to come.
Oh, hello.
If you want to StreamYard from the Boston Garden, both of us will be happy to join you.
So,
deal. Tell them deal.
Okay.
Tell us a deal.
I'll take that. Thanks, buddy. Have fun. Take care. Okay, so there you go. That is that's a rain check. I think that's what it is. That's a rain check.
Yeah. That's both of us. So that's great, though. But that's great. Hopefully he'll get that thing off his leg when his legs heals soon. All right. So who else is out there? Everyone's gone. They're all leaving.
There's still a few strays out here.
Yeah.
Family supporters.
Okay, well, you can hear me, okay, because you're sounding almost like I have a husband, okay? I can't hear you, dear.
No, I can hear you when I step away from everything and kind of hold the device a little.
Does everyone get that feeling? Maybe you can go back and ask Mark for tonight, but he'll be at another game. But anyhow, let me just ask you this, Michael, and I'm going to almost forget what I'm going to ask you here. The FBI, okay, that's what we started. We heard for the first time, definitely, that they have been in touch with the FBI, okay? All right?
Yeah, now I had reported that before because I did a little investigation right after the revelation of the break-in and what happened with all that information and the bank accounts. I confirmed that the FBI was looking into it, and that's where it stood, and Tim didn't tell us any more than that today, but he reinforced it.
He reinforced it pretty strongly, and that they were also involving other channels, and that's where Martha Coakley comes in, because she does have the juice. The other channels about how you can get that kind of restraining order against a kid, how it could be served like that. But what I'm also concerned about is how it is, and I wonder how anyone feels about how it is that the police had that kind of pull to get in the courtroom. Did that make the regular litigants feel like they were under the gun? Yep. Michael's
Okay,
talking
yeah,
to.
yeah. I was talking to Will because he
Will,
said there, Will Page, and we're audibleizing. I think we should plan on doing the family that we have lined up tomorrow night because they're doing a big celebration beginning tonight at 5.
Perfect. Let's do them tomorrow night because yeah, I have
So-
theater anyhow.
So I think
you
that's
know.
probably best. We'll get it a little more streamlined, and again, the plan is to have Will and Lauren and Steve on, all the parents. So
Okay. Terrific.
But for programming purposes, tomorrow night, not tonight. So I don't know what we're going to do tonight. We'll come up with something. We'll just have a little. I think we can just have a debrief about the events of the day and the closings and the judge's decision. And right?
Yeah. Maybe we should ask Judge Ashley if she's free, since she's been with us all week on this. Now that we have the not guilty, to join us. All right. I mean, that's a possibility.
Okay. I will defer to you guys on that because I'm going to.
Well, maybe not,
Well, I
because
guess-
you'll be on the road. Yeah, you'll be
I'm
on
going to hit the
We should-
road, and if I can get near the home studio in time, I will. If not, I'll pull over, and that will become the mobile studio.
And so I want to ask our chat, how y'all feeling as Michael's going to wrap up here? Oh, wait a second. We got someone wants to.
Michael, I just want to say thank you for.
Oh, of course.
For,
we're on here, by the way.
Showing up, driving all the way up from Connecticut, or
No worries.
other end of the universe, and
yeah, I call it Canada to my friends in New York. I'm not going back to Canada. So pretty happy, I imagine.
yeah.
This Kelsey's Godfather.
I just couldn't, couldn't hope enough. It's like, but just, and of course, it took so long to tell the.
Ever a doubt as he was reading out his decision?
A little bit, but like I someone said like he's going to praise the police first and do this and do that, and so I was like, but oh wait a minute, recess now.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that was purposeful. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it was all the work, all the effort everyone put in to make this happen. I can't thank everybody enough, and all the support. The something from what that witness talked about the glaring eye of the press. Oh yeah,
oh yeah,
yeah, the neighbor.
Yes, yes,
that
it's
was
the
beautiful.
Teresa. Yeah.
And it's like, did you write that? Yep, I did.
Didn't exactly pan out as Commonwealth expected.
No. But and this is what you guys need. We need you guys to show what's going on, and
it's a pleasure when something is wrong and we can point that out, and we'll keep doing it.
Tell him I said
again,
hello. We've never
I
met.
appreciate all the
yeah.
support so much, and I'm so happy. And this is what I really hope for the most.
Congratulations. Take care.
That's Kelsey's godfather. Just so people in the chat know.
Yes, on
Yeah.
Steven's side. Yeah.
Yeah. Just
Okay. I'm now walking in traffic.
Okay, you're walking in traffic. Please don't get run over. All right. Why don't you close up then if you're doing that and get to your car?
I'm gonna one last look at the common.
I will ask everyone. Everyone says Turtle Boy's next. Yes, absolutely. Turtle Boy's next. So we have 2 down, 1 to go, as he said. Even if I wasn't in these conversations, because I have my pod streaming husband partner, who I adore as a pod streaming husband partner, just was ignoring me all. What did you all think about that in the chat, huh? But let's give Michael.
All right then. Okay. Bye bye.
Let's give Michael
get rid
a
of me.
love. Let's give Michael a little love because he's been there all week and he's done a fabulous. Go back to Domino. We want to see Domino. Goodbye.
Okay.
See you.
I'll see you soon. Bye.
Okay. Of course, I'm kidding him, as you all know. I'm giving him a little kidding, as you all know, because one of the things we do on the show is we try not to suppress our personalities like we have to do sometimes in a courtroom. And really, we should thank him. He has been there. He left at 5 o'clock in the morning Monday, and he won't get back. He may get back for a 6 o'clock show, but if not, he's going to stop along the side of the road. But Michael, yeah, he said he's got something in his ear. He's got an earpiece in his ear, but it's just with all the noise you can't hear, and that does happen when you're on the road. Remember, he's got to hold the camera. He's got to hold the mic, and then the earpiece is attached into his ear, and it's very, very difficult. And of course, he's just a really terrific news person, a really terrific lawyer, and the coverage that he's got is wonderful. And we should all, be happy today. I have to talk louder. I have never heard. Usually, people are complaining about my mic. My mic is too loud, so maybe my mic has dropped down a little bit. Let's see, because usually everyone's complaining my mic is too loud. We took off the automatic mic adjustments because for both of our mics because it was making them too loud. Okay, Is that better? Can you hear me now? I feel like a commercial. I feel like a commercial. But it's all because of you. I mean, it's all because of all the time and for their mods staying on the chats and pushing Kelsey. And we're going to be pushing more on the family law. But it's all really because of you, because if this light hadn't been shined, people wouldn't have known about her. You know, they wouldn't have known about Judge McCarthy Naiman, who, quite frankly, you know, as a journalist, I can say, you know, karma is a bitch, as you all know. And it'll come around, because how she treated her was terrible, just terrible. How Kelsey Fitzsimmons remained the way she did throughout this treatment is awful. I mean, here she was, a corrections officer, police officer, has a degree, 2 years of law school, right? And she was just horrible. And now she's got to fight for her child, who she lost those months with, from 4 months to 13 months. She's lost all those months with her child, be thrown in jail, and that scram device. Yes, I am obsessed with that scram device, okay? Because even the court here wouldn't take it off, showing some deference to McCarthy Naiman until the trial was out. And I know the county or the municipality or whatever, however they do it, gets it back because they cost money. Quite frankly, they should throw it all in the garbage too, because even from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m., somebody who still has bullets, she still has bullet fragments in her back and has to undergo more surgeries. And then she comes into the courtroom and all the police are there rooting against her. You almost died. You're rooting against her. A female trailblazer, you're rooting against her. A woman who had postpartum depression, you're rooting against her. A woman who came through all odds, you're rooting against her. A woman who almost died, you're rooting against her. A woman who was shot by a partner, you're rooting against her. A woman who had her dog taken, or thought she was going to have her dog taken away along with her child, you're rooting against her. I mean, quite frankly, everybody who's rooting against her, and those cops and all, really should take a good look at yourself, all right? And we don't talk about preaching how we appreciate cops. I appreciate police officers. I represent some very good police officers, right? And I have represented other police officers who are some very good. But if you can't look around and see that this was wrong, there's something wrong with you, and there's something wrong with our society. So when you see people coming forward that they want to get rid of the police, this is where they're coming from. Now, we don't say that on this channel because we do appreciate them, but I don't appreciate what they did to Kelsey. I don't appreciate what the system did to Kelsey, and I don't appreciate what the system does to all those people that have been convicted over the years who were innocent, and it took 40 years to find them not guilty. Because unless we open our eyes and we open our systems and change our systems, it's going to happen again and again and again. And the Justin Alayans of the world, who are in the Good Old Boy Network, they're going to get the good treatment. And the Kelseys, who are not in the Good Old Boy Network, they're going to get smushed and be under the thumb of the government and scram. All right. So let's wake up, and thank you all for really supporting her. And when I say that, I'm also saying that because we know this, we are an Aiden supporting channel. I represent him in Jersey, even though I couldn't get a question in word-wise with Michael Bryant there, because really, he's the one who's brought to light Karen Reed. He's the one who brought to light those 2 cops who just got arrested, who are presumed innocent, by the way, for the sexual abuse. And if it wasn't him, then maybe there wouldn't be all of us out there who are willing to go that one step further and say, look, we've got to look at this. There's something not right here. So please, yeah, thank you. 27 more subs to 35,000. Can I get 27 of you to subscribe? Can I really just get 27 of you to subscribe now for all the work that Michael Bryant's done? There have to be, with everybody watching here, there have to be 27 people who haven't hit that subscribe button. It just hit it. It doesn't cost you anything to hit it. As a matter of fact, you may get a membership free, because when people donate memberships, what happens is those go to people that are subscribed. So I just need 27 of you more, and we're at 30,000. What was it? It just went past me. The number just went past me. But I really should just, I feel like I'm going to be in a telethon here. Okay, let's all at once hit that subscribe button. Okay, how do you buy a membership? It was a great day. By the way, thank you very much for saying that, East Texas Alan. How do you buy a membership? Can't do it from my iPhone. I don't know about that. Missy, Joy, would you screenshot a Freedom? It's a Freedom Ring. For Freedom Ring 757, member for 8 months. How do we buy memberships? Can I do it for my iPhone? You mean to gift memberships? I'm going to have to let Missy and all handle that for you. I've done it for other shows when I've been in their stream, And I think I had to do it from my computer. I don't think I could do it from my iPhone for some reason. I think I had to do it from my computer. But, you know, everyone who gets them loves them. It really is helpful for people who can't afford them. And Curious Law Tuber, you've been giving away memberships for us the last couple of days, you know, like the candy. And we so appreciate you for doing that. And whoever has recently got it, it's already been given out because you have to be a subscriber to get that membership, remember. And Curious Law Tuber, again, another one. Thank you again. Another membership. And then we have new members, as you can see. Susan DG, new member. Unbalanced Equation, thank you for Unity. I think I showed this up before when Tim was talking. I tried to get her up there, and we thank you very much for that donation. You know, help Michael on his gas, which is pretty high, driving back. New member, Bruno's wife, thank you very much for coming a new member. Nefarious Shenanigans, duh. Okay, let me say that. I like that. Nefarious Shenanigans, duh. I need a director. Michael is amazing. Yes, he is. And everybody loves Michael. A question, armchair attorney, did they give her baby updates that she's supposed to get? We have to ask that, okay? We're going to probably ask that maybe when her family comes on tomorrow night. Put that back in the stream again tomorrow night. Let's start when on the stream, put it right up there. And let's ask that. That's a great question. We're going to portal to tonight's live, okay? As you know, we're still a little low on the subs, okay? Freedom Ring again. That's the one question I asked before. And Curious Law Tuber again. Thank you again. And then Missy, you have to do it on a laptop computer. Can't do it on the phone on Apple. That's what I thought. Thank you, Missy. That's what I remember doing that on my laptop computer. Okay. And thank you, B Crumbs, for sending 5 Justice Serve TV memberships. Really appreciate it. Jake's Mama, thanks for all you do. We appreciate you. Thanks for all you do. Oh, guess what? You guys did it. You guys did it. 35,002. I want to take a screenshot of this because you all did it. This shows you the strength in numbers. And yes, you love our Justice Serve TV family. You know, sometimes we get somebody who doesn't really like our family because they don't like the cases we represent or our views. And, you know, while we are free speech, we love free speech. We just don't like people to be treated terrible in the stream because people are coming here so they can have a family and talk about crime and anything else that they want to talk about. For instance, there was a streamer the other night. I remember the other night. Let me see if I can read it because I have to find this person again who asked us to look at a case. And it was Karen Worwell. I didn't see her in the stream this morning or today. It's 4644 who made a donation. She said, Lyndon Michael, as a side note, can you review Corey Rohrer, felony charges, Plevna, Kansas? It smells of injustice. Thank you very much. I couldn't find a Google with that name as she had spelled it. So I really need Karen, if anyone knows her, Worrell 4644, to be told that we haven't been able to find it. And she could email us at justiceservetv@gmail.com and give us any information on it. And anyone else, if you know anyone else. But thank you. You got us there. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We will see you at 6 p.m. I hope you all, we're portaled into that show. I hope you all will join us at 6 p.m. We'll do a wrap up. We'll see who's available. And then tomorrow night, we are going to have what we call the Justice Serve TV celebration, Kelsey celebration, with the members of her family who will be joining us tomorrow night at 6. In the meantime, go take a rest. Go look at another stream too. Give everybody who supported Kelsey Fitzsimmons your love and all. And anyone who's supporting, injustice. We don't want anyone who supports injustice. We only want people here who support justice being served. So I'm Linda Kenny Baden. This is Justice Serve TV. Since Michael's already gone, I will say what he normally ends with. Please try to do the right thing. And I will see you later on at 6 p.m.